You won't believe the insane life story of Kenneth Rexroth. Born on December 22, 1905 in South Bend, Indiana, he was born to be an innovator. At 14, he moved to Chicago to live with his aunt. He enrolled in the Art Institute of Chicago. At 15, he started publishing in magazines. At 19, he hitchhiked and backpacked and visited lecture halls and literary salons. He took different, mostly nature-related jobs like with the Forest Service and the Marble Mountain Ranger Station in the Pacific Northwest. This would influence his ecological style. In 1927, he married Andre Schaefer, the painter, and moved to San Francisco to get away from the literary establishment of the East Coast that he believed corrupted American poetry. In Frisco, he organized maritime labor unions, pursued his interest in Eastern mysticism, and explored the beautiful natural environment surrounding Frisco. He became an environmental writer worried about the natural world's destruction and stated, "My poetry and philosophy of life became what is now fashionable to call ecological. I came to think of myself as a macrocosm and a macrocosm related to chipmunks and bears and pine trees and stars and nebulae and rocks and fossils as part of an infinitely interrelated complex of being. This I have retained." In the 1930s, Rexroth met James Laughlin, the founder of New Directions Publishing, who included his poems in his New Directions in Poetry and Prose in 1937. That same year, his poem Requiem for the Dead in Spain was published, describing the horrors of the Spanish Civil War and illuminating Rexroth's pacifist style. In 1940, Macmillan published Rexroth's first collection called In What Hour, which articulated his original ecological poetry style and political beliefs. His poetry was declared as original by the press and solidified his position as the leader of the San Francisco Renaissance. His writing career went to the moon. Rexroth was a big pacifist. In 1943, he applied for conscientious objector status after the United States World War II entry. After Japanese internment started taking place, Rexroth actively opposed it and got educational passes for Japanese Americans to keep them from internment. In 1944, New Directions published another Rexroth banger called The Phoenix and the Tortoise, about how there's still hope for humanity through nature and love despite human war and its threat to nature. The tortoise represents the earthly and mortal, and the phoenix represents the transcendent power of love. Rexroth organized literary salons, bringing together poets whose ideas inspired each other, giving rise to the Beat Generation. He also established jazz as a main ingredient of beat poetry, giving jazz and poetry performances at the Cellar and Black Hawk Club. He believed that combining music and poetry would better connect the audience with the art. His deep interest in Asian philosophy and literature and Buddhism introduced the beat writers to the Buddha consciousness. On October 7, 1955, he organized the 6th gallery reading in which Allen Ginsberg read Howl. He gained the title Father of the Beat Poets but rejected the title in the movement. He translated many poems from Chinese, Japanese, French, and Spanish. Rexroth received multiple awards, including the Copernicus Award from the Academy of American Poets, recognizing a poet's contribution to poetry as a cultural force. After a lifetime of amazing artistic and innovative achievements, he died in 1982 and was buried in Santa Barbara on a cliff above the sea. I will be reading The Wheel Revolves by Kenneth Rexroth. You were a girl of satin and gauze. Now you are my mountain and waterfall companion. Long ago I read those lines of Po Chui, written in his middle age. Young as I was, they touched me. I never thought in my own middle age I would have a beautiful young dancer to wander with me by falling crystal waters among mountains of snow and granite. Least of all that, unlike Poe's girl, she would be my very daughter. The earth turns toward the sun. Summer comes to the mountains. Blue grouse drum in the red fir woods. All the bright long days. You put blue jay and flicker feathers in your hair. 2 and 2 violet-green swallows play over the lake. The blue birds have come back to nest on the little island. The swallows sip water on the wing and play at love and dodge and swoop. Just like the swallows that swirl under and over the Ponte Vecchio. Light rain crosses the lake, hissing faintly. After the rain, there are giant puffballs with tortoiseshell backs at the edge of the meadow. Snows of 1,000 winters melt in the sun of one summer. Wild cyclamen bloom by the stream. Trout veer in the transparent current. In the evening, marmots bark in the rocks. The scorpion curls over the glimmering ice field. A white-crowned night sparrow sings as the moon sets. Thunder growls far off. Our campfire is a single light amongst 100 peaks and waterfalls. The manifold voices of falling water talk all night. Wrapped in your down bag, starlight on your cheeks and eyelids, your breath comes and goes in a tiny cloud in the frosty night. 10,000 birds sing in the sunrise. 10,000 years revolve without change. All this will never be again.